Have you ever watched a horror movie so terrifying that you told yourself, "It's just a movie," only to later find out that it actually happened? Well, what if I told you that some of the scariest films ever made were inspired by real-life events? Murders, possessions, and unexplainable horrors that left people traumatized for life. And here's the real question. Which of these terrifying true stories is the most disturbing of them all? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might never look at these movies the same way again. 5. Midsommar, 2019. Inspired by Scandinavian folklore and cult rituals. A peaceful summer festival in Sweden, or a nightmare cult ritual. Midsommar might seem like pure fiction, but did you know it was inspired by real pagan ceremonies and an actual Swedish festival known as Midsummer? While the film exaggerates the horror, many of its unsettling rituals, like the Ättestupa, where elders jump to their deaths, are based on ancient Norse folklore. Even creepier, director Ari Aster took inspiration from real-life European cults, particularly the Order of the Solar Temple, a doomsday cult responsible for mass suicides in the 1990s. But the next story on our list is even darker, because the horror was very real. Number 4. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974, inspired by Ed Gein. A group of friends, a remote farmhouse, and a masked killer with a chainsaw. Sounds like fiction, right? But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually inspired by Ed Gein, a real-life murderer from Wisconsin. Gein didn't use a chainsaw, but he dug up graves, skinned bodies, and made furniture out of human remains. Authorities discovered masks made of human skin, lampshades crafted from faces, and even a belt made of nipples. His gruesome crimes also influenced other horror films, including Psycho and The Silence of the Lambs. And if you think this is disturbing, wait until you hear what happened during one of the most famous exorcisms in history. 3. The Exorcist, 1973. Based on the possession of Roland Doe, a young girl possessed by a demon, priests trying to save her soul, and a battle between good and evil. The Exorcist is one of the scariest films ever made. But did you know it was based on the real exorcism of a boy known as Roland Doe in 1949? Roland, a 14-year-old from Cottage City, Maryland, was said to be possessed after using a Ouija board. Witnesses reported objects flying across rooms, strange markings appearing on his skin, and guttural voices coming from his mouth. The exorcism was performed by priests from St. Louis University, and those who were present claimed to have seen supernatural occurrences, like words mysteriously appearing on Roland's body and the bed shaking violently on its own. Even creepier, the set of The Exorcist was allegedly cursed. Fires broke out, actors were injured, and several cast members died unexpectedly. But if you think that's terrifying, the next story will make you question whether ghosts really exist. 2. The Amityville Horror, 1979, based on the Lutz family and the DeFeo murders. A family moves into their dream home, only to discover it's haunted by something evil. The Amityville Horror is based on the real-life experiences of the Lutz family, who lived in 112 Ocean Avenue, Amityville, New York. But the horror started even before they arrived. In 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. murdered his entire family, his parents and 4 siblings, while they slept. He later claimed that voices in the house told him to do it. A year later, the Lutz family moved in, and lasted only 28 days. They claimed to experience ghostly apparitions, walls that oozed blood, and strange voices whispering in the night. But here's the big question. Was it real, or just a hoax? Skeptics argue that the Lutzes exaggerated the events for money, but others believe something truly sinister resides in that house. And that leads us to the scariest horror movie based on a true story. Number 1. The Conjuring, 2013, A Tormented Family. and two of the most famous paranormal investigators in history, Ed and Lorraine Warren. The Conjuring is based on the true story of the Perron family, who lived in a cursed house in Harrisville, Rhode Island, during the 1970s. The family claimed they were tormented by spirits, including one known as Bathsheba Sherman, a woman accused of witchcraft in the 1800s. Paranormal activity ranged from mysterious noises and moving objects to violent attacks on family members. Ed and Lorraine Warren, real-life demonologists, investigated the case and described it as one of the most terrifying hauntings they'd ever encountered. And here's the scariest part. The real Perron family still insists that everything in the movie was true,